Investors, hello! This is AI Crypto Insights, bringing you a few minutes of AI-powered insight into the market. A quick reminder, this is for educational reference only, not investment advice. Today, we're parsing the Foresight News article, Who Betrayed Whom? Zcash Infighting, ECC Mass Exodus. And let me tell you, this is a big one, a project on the absolute brink of a civil war. All right, let's just jump right in. Look at this. On January 8th, the Zcash market it fell off a cliff. We're talking a massive 20% drop in a single day. You know, when you see a chart tank like that, it's never just random market noise. Something major, something foundational, just shattered.
So the big question is, what could possibly cause a plunge like that? Well, our analysis shows this was a direct shockwave from a crisis, a complete meltdown, really, right at the core of Zcash, one of the most important privacy projects out there. So let's get into it and figure out what went down.
And here it is, the bombshell. The entire core development team, the folks at the Electric Coin Company, or ECC, announced they were out. And I mean the whole team. This wasn't a couple of key engineers leaving or some kind of corporate reshuffle. Nope, the entire team, gone. And their story? They say they were forced out.
Okay, so as you can imagine, this immediately exploded into a he said, she said situation. A full-on battle of narratives. Let's start by looking at the accusations from the team that just walked out, the ECC.
And check out the language here from ECC's CEO, Josh Swihart. This isn't your standard, we have creative differences PR statement. No way. He's directly accusing the board of betraying the mission of Zcash and, deliberately changing their employment terms to make it impossible for them to do their jobs. In his view, this wasn't them quitting, it was an eviction.
And they even gave it a legal name, Constructive Discharge. Now, this is a really important term. It's basically a legal way of saying, we didn't quit, our employer made the working conditions so hostile and unbearable that they forced us to resign. That is a heavy, heavy accusation. So who's the target of this accusation? A nonprofit named Bootstrap. And here's the crazy part. Bootstrap's whole reason for existing is to manage ECC and support Zcash. So you've got the management entity being accused of effectively firing its own core dev team. Yeah, that's what a civil war looks like.
But of course, there are always two sides to a story like this. So now we have to flip the coin and look at Bootstrap's defense. Their entire argument hinges on their legal status as a nonprofit organization.
And to really get Bootstrap's side, you have to know what a 501c3 is. It's a specific kind of U.S. nonprofit, and it comes with some very strict, non-negotiable rules. The big one, it must serve the public interest, and it is absolutely 100% forbidden from funneling profits or assets to private individuals or for-profit companies. We're not talking about a suggestion here. This is black and white law.
So with that legal duty in mind, Bootstrap basically said, look, our hands were tied. They claimed they were just doing their job, protecting public assets, like the intellectual property for the Zashi wallet, and stopping those assets from being improperly handed over to a private, for-profit company. They were worried about getting sued by past donors, and even pointed to the whole open AI drama as a cautionary tale of what can go wrong.
Okay, so we've got two completely opposite narratives, right? One side is yelling hostile environment, and the other is claiming legal duty. So what was the actual trigger? What was the one thing that couldn't agree on? It all boiled down to the Zashi wallet.
And this right here, this is the core of the whole conflict. It's a fundamental clash of philosophies. You had ECC, who saw the nonprofit structure as, a shackle holding them back. They wanted to take the Zashi wallet, privatize it, get venture capital funding, and run like a fast, lean startup. But then you have Bootstrap, legally bound by their nonprofit status, looking at that plan and seeing a big red flag. To them, it looked like an illegal transfer of public property to a private company, opening them up to all sorts of legal trouble. Just two worldviews that could not coexist.
When you have a clash that deep, something's gotta give. A split was pretty much inevitable. So what happened after the fireworks? Well, the ECC team didn't just fade away.
Literally the very next day, they announced they were starting a brand new independent company. And get this, they're launching a new wallet called Cash Z, built from the very Zashi code they wrote in the first place. I mean, they did not waste any time.
And this new company, Cash Z, came out swinging with a clear mission. And I want you to pay attention to the wording here. Uphold Zcash's Cypherpunk origins. That's a very deliberate message. They're basically saying, we are the ones carrying the original flame of Zcash, and now we're finally free from the nonprofit rules that were stifling us.
But this, right here, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to have the talent, the code, the vision.
but going rogue and splitting from the official structure. That brings a whole universe of new problems.
And let's be real, the hurdles are huge. First off, funding. Where's the money coming from? Second, what's their legal relationship with the Zcash protocol now? They don't run it anymore. Third, how do they rebuild trust in a community that's just been through a civil war? And maybe the biggest one, they've sworn off launching a new token, which is the easy way to fund things in crypto. That makes the money question really, really tough.
The reactions from other big names in the Zcash world are pretty interesting. The co-founder, Zuko Wilcox, stayed right in the middle. He basically suggested this wasn't about heroes and villains, but more like a ticking time bomb built into the project's structure. The Zcash Foundation also played it neutral, making the point that the protocol itself is decentralized and will be fine. But then you have a former ECC engineer who came out strongly in support of the new company, calling it a chance to finally break free from a broken system.
So, when you zoom out, you realize this isn't just some internal Zcash drama. This whole mess is a perfect, real-world example of a huge problem that plagues the entire crypto industry. It's like a case study on the fundamental tug-of-war between those lofty, decentralized ideals and the messy reality of running a business. And that leaves us with the big, philosophical question that this whole saga puts right in our faces. How in the world do you balance decentralization, innovation, legal rules, and just, staying afloat financially? Zcash couldn't figure it out. The question is, can anyone? AI analyst verdict. The Zcash split proves that for crypto projects, organizational structure is just as critical as the code itself. The industry has yet to solve the fundamental conflict between nonprofit ideals and for-profit innovation. What do you think? Share your thoughts in comments. See you next episode.